Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon if you're joining us from the East Coast. Thank you for coming. Glad to see everybody here. Please come in, have a seat. If you can, please let us know where you're coming from in the chat. We'd always like to know where you're coming from. And we'll get started here in just a second. This webinar will be recorded. As soon as it's available, I will send it out to you. We also have a short survey at the end. If you would be able to complete that survey on our behalf, we will truly appreciate it. I will be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put it there and we'll make sure your questions get answered. So I do see Jarvis is here, Houston Tillison. Welcome, everyone. Don't be shy. Go ahead and put where you're from in the chat. Oh, we have Miss Peterson from Grambling. Okay, we have San Antonio College. All right, we have Dillard University, DC Pews Trust. Welcome. See Mr. Osborne from HT, Texas College. Langston, welcome. It's great to see everybody. Fort Valley. Yes, we still have them coming in. Florida Memorial University. Awesome. So as you're coming in, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists today. I'm going to start out with Miss Asia Haney. Miss Haney is a highly motivated and customer service-driven professional with over 8 years of experience in post-secondary education, strategic recruitment, digital marketing, and project management. As the Director of Recruitment and Admissions of Houston Tillison University, Asia has been instrumental in driving enrollment growth and implementing innovative strategies. Asia oversees the development and maintenance of the department's communication and marketing plan to engage over 40,000 prospective students in all areas of the enrollment funnel. With a bachelor's and master's in business administration from Houston Tillison University, Asia is committed to the development of student success through social and academic programming, financial literacy, and other initiatives that foster enrollment growth. Thank you, Ms. Haney, for agreeing to be on our panel today. We appreciate it. Next, we have Dr. Antoinesha Hollman. Dr. Hollman is a native of Itawina, Mississippi. She received her Bachelor's of Science of Biology, Master's of Science in Biology, and Doctorate of Philosophy and Environmental Science from Jackson State University. After earning her bachelor's degree, she taught 8th grade pre-algebra and tutored 6th through 8th grade students in math for 3 years at the Hardy Middle School in Jackson, Mississippi. Dr. Hollman has served as a visiting researcher at Bethune-Cookman University and director of the Early Start Summer Program at Jarvis Christian University. She currently serves as an assistant professor of biology, director of the mentoring program for first-time freshmen, and director of the Early Start Summer Program for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Thank you for joining us as well, Dr. Hollman. Next, we have Mr. Robert Mitchell, Jr. Mr. Mitchell is a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. He earned a bachelor's degree in management from Alabama State University and is currently pursuing a master's of business administration from the University of Bridgeport. He is currently the university registrar, director of records and registration, and the Veteran Affairs certifying official for Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana. He is an active member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the 100 Black Men of Metro New Orleans, a board member of the Warren Easton Alumni Association, and the founding board member of the Alabama State University, Louisiana Alumni Chapter. Welcome, Mr. Mitchell. And last but not least, we have Dr. Ronda Westry. Dr. Westry has over 20 years of experience at various colleges and universities leading efforts in retention and academic support services for highly at-risk undergraduate students. A native of Los Angeles, California, and a proud alumna of Spelman College, Dr. Westry has a Master of Education degree in Counseling and Human Development, and a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Adult Higher Education Administration from Auburn University Montgomery and Auburn University, respectively. She humbly serves as the Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs, Student Success Units at Alabama State University. Thank you also, Dr. Westry, for joining us. So it looks like we have everyone here. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and kind of to let you know how we're going to do this particular webinar. We have a set of questions that I will be asking our panelists. And I also thank you for sending your questions in early. Some of you did, and so we'll hopefully get around to those questions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get started. Again, know that this webinar is being recorded, so I will send this out to you at the end. And then also, if you take that short survey, we appreciate it as well. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Can you see it? Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first question. So our first question is, what is the primary objective of your summer program? So I'm going to start out with you, Dr. Westry, if you want to answer that question.
Yes, I could. And good morning and happy Wednesday, everyone. And a big shout out to Mr. Mitchell for being an alumna of Alabama State University. I'll make sure that our leaders know that. It's so good to be with colleagues today. So our overall objective for our Summer Bridge program is, of course, is to acclimate the incoming freshman students to campus life. But more specifically, because we do serve a specific population, and in that population are those students who fit into our Tier 3 admissions requirements. In other words, it's based on their high school GPAs as well as their ACT or SAT scores. So these students are considered higher at risk. All students are at risk, as we know, but these students are considered higher at risk. So our objective with those students is to prepare them for the rigors of their first semester as well as their first year at Alabama State. And it is a residential program, very intensive, a 6-week residential program just for those students. But we are considering expanding that outreach to all freshman students, incoming freshman students, based on some of the data that we're seeing from our first year students after their first semester.
Thank you, Dr. Westry. And how about Houston-Tillotson, Ms. Haney?
Good morning, all. My name is Asia Haney, proud alum of Houston-Tillotson University, #1 HBCU in Austin, Texas. And our ideal summer academy is geared towards all incoming students. We have a quality enhancement plan that we follow, and there's 3 pillars that we really focus on for our incoming students. We know we want to get them acclimated. We want to make sure they have a strong start that first semester, but we really focus on critical thinking, problem solving, creative problem solving, and most importantly, effective communication. And that's built in our Ideal Summer Academy, but also taught throughout their 4 years at Houston-Tillotson University.
Thank you. Dr. Hollman at Jarvis.
Good morning. So we have a lot going on at Jarvis Christian University. So the first program is called the Early Start Summer Program, which students are able to obtain 12 to 15 credit hours. And that goal is simply like everyone else's. We want to acclimate students to the campus. So we help them transition from high school to college. And then we also have the STEM program, or the Bridge program for STEM, which is the Early Start Summer Program for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. Those students take STEM courses, two science courses and 2 math courses, which equals out to about 15. We want to get them acclimated to college as well. And then we have the Summer Science Academy for high school students. And this is just to give them exposure to the college. They don't earn dual credit hours, but they get to experience college.
Thank you, Dr. Hollman. And Mr. Mitchell.
Well, good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from Dillon University here in New Orleans, Louisiana, the home of good food, good music, and great fun. I am we have a couple of programs here. Originally at Dilley University, we started with programs that assisted students who did not meet our enrollment requirements to bridge them over to the university because we wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to be here at the university. Then we decided to pivot with that program a couple of years ago and bring in students to try to get them ahead, particularly for those students who are trying to major in the nursing field. Sometimes they're coming in, they need certain math requirements or certain STEM requirements that are not have allowed them to meet the requirements to follow the 4-year track. Nursing is one of our strong, lasting programs we have at the institution, and we wanted to give students an opportunity to able to be a part of that program and graduate on time. To finish in 4 is a slogan that we use at the institution, and it's been very successful for us. We also have other programs that we have for our STEM students to take college algebra and also to take anatomy and physiology here in the summertime at the university. That's separate from our continuing summer program for our normal summer school that we have at the institution.
Thank you. Okay, so move on to the next question. How long have you offered a summer bridge program, and have you made any adjustments since its inception? So I'll start off with you, Dr. Hollman.
So initially we had the Advanced Summer Enrichment Program, also known as ASAP, and it dates back to approximately 30 years ago. It was recently changed to ESSP, which is the Early Start Summer Program. And Jarvis's goal is to continue to provide that summer program every summer to students. So what changed was it became more rigorous. Then students were going to class with minimum assistance. So now students are provided peer mentors, and these peer mentors help with supplemental instruction as well as they tutor the first-time freshmen. And of course, we have some fun activities because we want to give them the full college experience. So those are some changes that were made with their program. And so the ESSP STEM, which is 2-tier, where we have those high school students and those graduating seniors coming in, it was recently developed in 2022. So this is our 2nd year for this program, and it is based on a grant.
Okay. Ms. Haney?
So Houston-Tillotson, we have had the Ideal Summer Academy just for the past 2 years, but we have always incorporated some type of transition program for our incoming freshmen. Within the past 2 years, the most prominent change is that we used to have a summer bridge program, which was our All-Star Academy, which focused on students that needed to take developmental courses. Mm-hmm. And then we had separately our Career Pathways Initiative, which was originally funded by UNCF. And that was really focused on career readiness. And so we had 2 programs going on at the same time that were residential, but with 2 different focuses. What we found is merging those 2 groups, having students work together, not just in the classroom, but also with supplemental instruction, extracurricular activities, career exploration was beneficial for both types of students, if you will. So at Houston-Tillotson, we offer our honor students those courses during the summer months, but also the students that need to take developmental courses are able to take those as well. So within the past 2 years, we've definitely seen tremendous growth for our students, retention, but also performance within the classroom with those changes to our Ideal Summer Academy.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
Similar to what's happening at Houston-Tillotson with Ms. Haney, we here at the university have the Emerging Scholars Program. That program assists our students, as I said before, with pretty much just bridging the gap of getting ahead in their studies. We found it beneficial for us because, you know, you have those students who are transferring in from high school, not transferring, coming in from high school with like 40 credits from different institutions, as well as graduating with a high school diploma, and they're graduating quite early. We also find it's very helpful for our programs and the STEM programs because, as you all know, the STEM programs and the medical programs have some of the strictest curriculums, where there's little to no wiggle room in trying to play catch up. If you fall behind, particularly at a small institution where you have those fall only, spring only courses, and then some professors, hey, I'm not teaching in the summertime, right? And so they don't want to teach those courses. And so now our students, unfortunately, have an unfair opportunity of falling behind. our Emerging Scholars Program has definitely helped our students to get ahead of the game. I love that we have this program. I love that we have a great financial aid director who Mrs. Denise Spellman, who find ways to help fund this program for our students. And we have a great team here in financial aid and a great team in our development program who will find funding to help our students to pay for the cost of these programs, this Emerging Scholars Program, when they need assistance in paying for it.
Thank you. And Dr. Westry.
Yeah, so Alabama State University Summer Bridge Program actually dates back to 10 years ago, actually 2013. When I joined ASU in 2017, I made a lot of adjustments just from my assessment. And actually, when I joined ASU, it was right in the middle of their summer program. So I basically sat back and assessed how they were doing it. And so for the following years and years to come, I made adjustments, especially to the peer mentoring piece of it. I developed a program called my Hornets Keeper Peer Mentoring Program. And the reason why that is so important to any summer bridge program, because all of us who have these types of programs know students really resonate with other students, and especially your upperclassmen and those students who may have filled leadership roles on your campus. Having said that, so with the My Hornets Keeper peer mentoring program, it was very structured. We have a GPA requirement for those students. They participate in training because we just didn't want to throw them out there and match them. We try to keep the ratio very low, mentee to mentor, so that the students can not only guide those students, but I think one of the colleges mentioned also too, we hire those students with higher GPA in certain areas. Like we make sure to intentionally hire students from STEM, from different areas that we know most students have trouble in, so that those students can also tutor their students during mandatory study sessions. It was something that we added. We have mandatory workshops twice a week, one presented by the administrators of the Bridge program, and the other ones are presented by our peer mentors. So we try to give the students both perspectives. So if I had to say, the biggest adjustment was that, and again, just really organizing it to the point where students, another big issue or challenge that we have, and I don't know about the other colleges and universities, was parents. I'm very big on parents. One of those people with the parent portal. So we just made sure that as these students are incoming, that everybody, we operate as one family. So we even have an orientation for our families, and we just do a lot of communication to make sure as they are even onboarding to the summer program, they are well aware of the objectives of the program, the cost of the program, and the expectation. So those are some of the adjustments. And again, like any university, will continue with continuous improvement as we just answer the needs of our students each year.
Thank you, Dr. Westry. Okay, so our next question is, who is eligible for your summer program and how do they enroll? Start with you, Ms. Haney.
So this is a great question. All incoming first-time freshmen and dual enrolled students are eligible for our Ideal Summer Academy. All conditionally admitted students are highly encouraged to attend as well, so that we can monitor, we can track, we'll put them on an academic plan for success. For all incoming students that have been accepted, we send an invitation or an application out to them, encouraging them to apply to the university. And then we work closely with them as well as their family to assist them with onboarding. What we're doing at Houston-Tillotson is we offer virtual sessions every Thursday where they can come in, ask questions, but we have different presenters from our Center for Academic Excellence, Student Affairs, Residence Life, as well as some of our deans as well that come on the call to assist students with that transition and making sure, and of course, our financial aid department, understanding what the benefits of the programs are, but also what they can expect once they complete that program. And so we've seen much success with making sure that we're informing these students consistently and following up with them on various different platforms such as social media, email, as well as sending out postcards to our students.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
So here at the university, through our Emerging Scholars Program, we extended the invitation through University College. The Dean of University College extends that invitation to individuals who reach a certain criteria based on their GPA in their major. Prior to pivoting to that process, we actually sent the invitation to individuals who did not meet the requirement, but who was right there, the requirement to be admitted to the institution to allow them to be able to be accepted. So again, our Summer Bridge program has been very successful, but I know that our Dean of University College, Dr. Moorhead, has been talking with her colleagues to introduce an additional Summer Bridge program to help other majors to get stronger. We're getting ready to start a master's in nursing here at the university. And so we're going to, of course, our undergraduate program in nursing is going to actually possibly grow. So I'm pretty sure that the next Summer Bridge program we're going to have is probably be catering towards our nursing program to make sure our students are ready to be go direct into that curriculum and fast track.
Great. And Dr. Hollman.
So graduating seniors are eligible, and this is for the ESSP and the ESSP STEM program. So it's just like applying to school because we accept all. So they will complete an application, go through the Office of Admissions and Recruitment, and the link is provided on our website. And then next, of course, the FAFSA, the dorm application, and they will meet with an academic advisor to complete a schedule. And this is all based on their major. So for our Summer Science Academy, if rising 10th through 12th graders would like to attend, parents and students are able to complete an application and it is sent directly to the program director.
Thank you. And then Dr. Westry.
Okay, so as mentioned before, students who attend our Summer Bridge program has to be invited by the admissions office based on their incoming scores, their ACT, SAT scores, and their high school GPA. However, last year, with the funding from our state agency, we were able to do sort of like a pilot, and we called it our Summer Bridge Plus program, where we invited any student that did not fall in that category of having to attend Summer Bridge, which was mandated for those students in order to bridge into the fall. So we offered our Summer Bridge Plus, which stands for promoting learning and upgrading skills. And what we found that program became so very popular that this year we didn't get the funding that we did last year for it. But nevertheless, this year we have a lot of students who heard about that program, and we did have great success. Always for the last 5 years, our students have always outperformed their cohorts coming in the fall in terms of their first semester GPA, as well as the retention of our Summer Bridge students. So the word got out. I don't know how, but the word got out. And going back to word of mouth, using your parents as your best vehicle for talking about your programs. But I have a lot of inquiries from incoming freshmen who are not invited, but would like to come. So I am having that conversation with our VP, as well as our AVP of admissions, of opening that opportunity up to all students who would like to be part of our Summer Bridge program.
Okay, great. I am going to take a pause here just for a second and ask if our audience, let's look at our chat to see if you have any questions. If you'd like to be taken off mute, let me know. I can take you off mute. If not, then you can just go ahead and put your question or concern in the chat box. It doesn't look like we have any so far, so we'll go ahead and continue. I do have some, like I said, at the end, so we'll do that. So our next question is, has your retention of FTIC students increased as a result of your Summer Bridge program? I think this is something that a lot of us would like to know. So I'll start out with you, Mr. Mitchell.
So absolutely. I think any program that you have that you can get those students on your campus to understand or feel what it feels like to be a student at your institution is a plus. Prior to being at Dillon University, I used to be a recruiter at Alabama State University. And that's one of the selling points of getting them on campus and say, this is where you can be. This is 101. The benefits of Dillon University is that we are a small HBCU. And when we speak the word family, we mean that. And so when you get to show that student that, yes, it may cost a little bit to come here, but you're going to get an experience that you probably can't get anyplace else. Your professor knows you. One of our students who are in our summer bridge program this past summer, she sees me on campus all the time. She said, "What up, Mr. Mitch?" I'm like, "What up?" And so I'm like, "Look, how it's going? You know, I got my grades going." And I apologize for being a little bit unprofessional, but that's how we interact with our students here at the HBCU. But guess what? She's here. Her whole class is still here. As I review their grades as University Registrar right now, they all have had well over 3.5 GPA for this past academic year. That's a plus for us. They're not going anywhere, right? So to answer your question, absolutely. It definitely helps with our retention. It definitely helps with the ultimate goal here that we're trying to have here at Dillon University. And I look forward to seeing these young people graduate in the upcoming years. Some of these students are going to graduate prior to that because some of the students are enrolled in summer programs, summer courses right now to get ahead. So yes, it is such an advantage. I encourage anyone who has a summer bridge program to take full advantage because you establish a rapport with those students like no other.
Great, thank you. Hey, Dr. Hollman.
I agree with Mr. Mitchell that it is exactly what happens when they come to our summer programs and they return in the fall. So at Jarvis, we have about an 80-90% retention rate. Since 2019, it's been between 92% and 98%. So those students would definitely return in the fall, most of them, if they attend in the summer. And again, you do build that rapport. And when you're at a small HBCU, it feels like home. We're a family. I can call my students because I teach as well. I call them by their last names. That's how I remember them first. And some of them, you can see the shock on their faces, like, oh, you know me? Yes, I remember you. So yes, it does help with the retention rate.
Awesome. Ms. Haney?
Absolutely. I'm going to follow Mr. Mitchell's energy 4.0. 4.0. When you see them in the summer, you set that expectation and you hold them to it throughout the entire academic year. So for our first time in college students, we have definitely seen an increase, not just from summer to fall, but fall to spring and fall to fall. We have not calculated those results at the current moment, but we have definitely seen that specifically for our provisionally admitted students, those students that need that wraparound support, that need that extra supplemental instruction, but also need that peer-to-peer mentoring as well. When you have that upperclassman that has a 3.5 to a 4.0 that can help you navigate college, but also help you really understand this professor's expectation, and you set aside specific hours for them to work one-on-one, you will definitely see that student, one, rise to the occasion, but two, they have a support system going into the fall semester. They built a rapport not only with faculty, the staff that are still on campus because we don't get any summer breaks, but most importantly, those upperclassmen that are going to hold their hand during the summer, but also keep them accountable throughout the academic year. At Houston-Tillotson, we enroll only 100 students for our Ideal Summer Program. Residential, they must live on campus and they must be a serious student. And so once we set that expectation during the summer, you bet for sure these students will rise to the occasion and be the student leaders in the fall semester as incoming freshmen. And that is how we, one, retain, but also continue that morale, that culture of excellence, and making sure that our students are ideal. And those are our core values that I'll get into a little later.
Thank you. And Dr. Westry.
Yes, absolutely. With the rest of the colleges and university, it does have an impact on our retention. One of the things that we also do, and I'm sure the other universities do this as well, is we have a bridge coordinator. So not only do we work with these students in the summertime, but we keep these students all year round for their first year so that we can always know of their progress. Now, one of the things that I'll be extending for the new academic year is having those peer mentors. And how surprisingly, we don't pay, because once the summer is over, it's over. We don't pay them to continue with the mentoring, but so many of our peer mentors will come and tell me, hey, I keep up with my mentee, and how about a lot of our former Summer Bridge students become what? Peer mentors based on their experience during the Summer Bridge program. So going back to that retention piece is so very important for those of you who are building your program, is to make sure you have that one dedicated person who will oversee. And I think what Ms. Haney said, we don't, now my goal for this summer is 125. We've seen a sort of a decline in our enrollment, around 70 students since COVID, but it's slowly picking back up as students are realizing, yes, going back to, I think you said, Ms. Haney, ours is a mandatory residential program, because part of that acclimation is, of course, to be on campus, to see the things like where are your academic labs, where are your classrooms that you'll be going to, even developing, relationships and knowing how to handle your roommates during the summer is also very important, because I know one of the questions that came up was, should it be virtual? Should it be residential? I think a lot of us, when we had to pivot to virtual when in 2020, when COVID first hit, I can't speak for other campuses, but I know we did not see the same type of learning outcomes and results as we did with the residential piece. So that residential piece being on campus for us is very beneficial when you're talking about GPA performance as well as persistence.
And can I add one statement to that statement? I think Dr. Westry, you're correct. Relationships is so important. And my job as university registrar, I bank on this without the actual data, which is not the right thing to say, but there's not another university registrar like Robert Mitchell Jr. I'm confident about that. I'm accessible. I don't have office hours. My office hours from 8 to 5. If you see me on campus, I'm available to you. Now, that probably assists to the gray hairs, but it's okay. But I love what I do. But guess what? Those Summer Bridge students get an opportunity to know that the registrar is not a place to be, it's not a person or a place to be afraid of, because typically you get some bad news from the registrar's office. But we learned that, hey, let me be proactive and let you know what we do and why we do and why it's important. Let me introduce you to our financial aid director. Let me introduce you to our person who handles all of our tutoring and career services and what is an internship. You get a first-hand look or opportunity to have conversations with these individuals who may at some point seem untouchable or not accessible because of their title, which is not true. So we get to dispel those types of myths that happens at HBCUs, that certain people are not accessible when we truly are, because we believe in that word family. We just don't say it, we show it. And sometimes family not always so fun, but here we do our very best to just be like, no, we got you back.
And Mr. Mitchell, I just want to also add, when you talk about relationships, how very important, because you mentioned financial aid, admissions office, we have to depend on each other to pull this Summer Bridge program off. The great thing about the admissions office, financial aid, my office, academic lab, all of us are housed under student affairs enrollment management. So that makes the transition of onboarding a lot more easier because of the relationships we have developed with those offices and their understanding on how important this is, not just for helping us with the retention, but also summer enrollment and just the brand of Alabama State University. So you're right, not just a relationship with our external stakeholders, which are our parents, of course, and our students and other funders, but internally, it's very important to have those relationships.
Yes, great dialogue. Thank you. And our next question here, and it's kind of going to answer some of the questions that I've received also in the chat, and it all has to do with funding. How is your program funded? Is it a scholarship program, or how is it funded? Can you kind of elaborate on that? And I'll start with you, Ms. Haney. I'll start with you.
Absolutely. So we love to advertise our Ideal Summer Academy as no out-of-pocket expense to our students. We don't like to utilize the word free, but we do like to let our students know that there is no out-of-pocket expense to them. However, our program is funded by financial aid. We do encourage all of our incoming students that are coming for the fall to not only complete the 23-24, but the 22-23 financial aid. So it is a combination of federal and state need-based aid, Pell grants. We have the Texas equalization grants, as well as other merit-based institutional grants that we offer our students. But when our students come during the summer, outside of the extra chips and things that they want to purchase, we provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We cover the housing, and the students do not have to pay any out-of-pocket expense for the summer program. And then what we always encourage is for students to come to the program, and with successful completion, they have access to additional scholarships going into the fall semester. So when we talk about alleviating financial barriers, we talk about supporting the student and their family. It starts during the summer months, but making sure that the students have that support, they know about it. But once they successfully complete the Ideal Summer Academy, they're also registered for the fall semester. So yes, our students do not have to come out of pocket at all. We just ask that all of our students complete both FAFSAs for the incoming year.
All right. Okay, Dr. Westry.
Yes, and one more stakeholder I forgot when I was talking about relationships. Of course, you want a relationship with your provost office because those are the ones who provide those courses and instructors for you. But I just thought about that when I saw one of the chats pop up. Now, one of the things I've learned in trying to understand what other universities are doing, I have the ABCs of putting a summer bridge program or any initiative, retention initiative together. And the first thing is assessment. One thing that I like to do, and that's the reason why all of us are on the webinars to learn high impact practices, is understanding your state and your school and what you can and cannot afford. And I have been looking at other states. And one thing, the big difference between our state and other states who have the luxury like you all have in Texas, we don't have a lot of those types of support. So unfortunately, we do not have additional money where we can assist students. And yes, just like as Ms. Haney stated, our students are required to complete the financial aid for both years. One of the incentives I tried to provide, and that's based off that pilot that we did last year, because we were able to provide a waiver for our new student orientation, which is mandatory for all of our incoming students. But with the funding that we did receive last year for that pilot study, we were able to pay for housing. But like I said, this year we weren't able to get it because funding, again, was low. So I would have to say to each of you on here, just if you are fortunate to be in a state where you have that type of funding to assist your students, by all means, in as much as possible, try to lower those costs for your students, because I believe that that is one of the reasons why we don't see as many students and families signing up for our summer bridge. But again, it proved the point when our state agency offered that funding, because they realized that was a barrier for a lot of our Alabama students.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
So here at the University, again, like Ms. Haney mentioned, you have to do the FAFSA for both years for financial aid. We also use supplemental grants, SEOG. We also have a discounted rate for the courses as well. The other thing that we do at the university is that we have this thing called the SAFE Fund. The SAFE Fund is a fund that university employees get to contribute to directly out of their paycheck. So whatever you want to give, it comes directly out your paycheck, direct deposit. That's an initiative that was started by our previous administration. Is going to be continued by our current administration to help students. And what the SAFE Fund is a last resort, right? That's if you don't, that's if you cannot get any Pell or anything like that. But we do that, and our financial aid creates in the development office creates some rules behind it, the criteria. The student meets the criteria. It's not something that we wait for the student to tell us about. We just say, hey, look, here's the maximum that we can give you per the criteria and per what's in the budget, and we go from there. So once again, I know I mentioned before about my financial aid director, but I have to give her all the credit in the world, because there's so many times you hear about financial aid is not doing this and not doing that. Miss Denise Spellman is just, I swear, she's a gem. And you cannot hire her. We want her to stay here, but she's a gem, and she helps us with our SAFE program and make sure that we're doing right by the SAFE program for our students in the university. And so I think our contribution right now, I believe, is over 94%, and don't quote me on that, of all faculty and staff that are giving. But I think that's a very great number, considering that certain salaries in certain departments may possibly, that's a stretch, but we're doing pretty well here at the university with that program.
Great. And Dr. Hollman, I do also see that in the chat, Dr. Jones had the cost of the ESSP in there. So if anyone hasn't seen that, it's in the chat. But did you want to add anything else to that?
Okay, I missed it, but it is never more than whatever the Pell is. So if the students apply for the FAFSA and whatever that amount is, if they receive full Pell, then they don't have to come out of pocket with anything for ESSP. Now, due to ESSP STEM, if there's extra money needed for that student, we have money that is available to cover the rest of that cost. So the student won't have to come out of pocket for anything. With our high school students, the Summer Science Academy, it is free. So students, basically, if they receive full Pell Grant as well, they live on campus for free. They receive these 12 to 15 credit hours for free. The experience is free. They dine in the cafeteria. They everything, the activities, seminars, workshops, it is free of cost for the student.
Great, thank you. And while I still have you here, I do have a question also in the comment. It says, do any of the schools use conditional admits for first-time freshmen? For students who need additional support for English or math, how long is your summer program? So that's kind of two different questions there.
Now, we're very careful, and this came from the Department of Ed, to use the word conditional when you're talking about students who receive federal financial aid. I think someone on the panel said provisional. So we don't like the word conditional, but I understand what you're saying. And we do serve specifically those students, again, who, based on their performance in our Summer Bridge program, will be accepted to the fall. So we we don't call them a one-term admit, but technically they're one-term admit, but we can't call them conditional students for financial aid purposes. What was the other question?
It was for students who need additional support for English or math, how long is your summer program?
So, and we do that, and how we go about placing students in our courses, of course, all of our students, regardless if they took the ACT or SAT, because we are a test optional institution, all Bridge students have to take the AccuPlacer, and based on their AccuPlacer scores, and we do offer the developmental English and math in the summertime, but every student will take a study skills course as well as one of the degree granting courses for their general ed courses. But having said that, yes, we do offer that is our main focus, is math and English. And that's the reason why they are required to take the AccuPlacer. Every Bridge student, not all of our students, but all of our Bridge students must take the AccuPlacer.
And I would just
6-week program, 6 weeks.
Just like Dr. Westry, I would just like to piggyback. Yes, our students coming in, we do provide developmental English, developmental math, and for all of our students, we have something called the Texas Success Initiative, as well as the AccuPlacer that we require our students to have prior to coming in. So we know how to appropriately assess the students, but also provide that additional wraparound support services for those students. And ours is also a 6 weeks summer program. We not only focus on developmental at Houston-Tillotson, but also for our honor students, we do offer classes for those students as well. So it is a wraparound service for all of our incoming first-time freshmen. Great question.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to add a little bit. I see Dr. Jones is in the chat, and she said that at Jarvis, we have the ACT residual. Also, especially our math professors, they understand the need. So we don't offer those lower level courses anymore. Our professors are geared toward meeting the students where they are to bring them to where they need to be. So we do have professors who also stay back and they tutor their students as well.
So here at the university, we do the same. However, as relates to placing students, We no longer have developmental courses. We created courses that have a lab component to it so that the student can remain on track to graduate. So, for example, with our English composition course, if you do not score a certain score on the ACT, because we also test optional due to current events, we say, hey, there's no need to get behind in your curriculum. So if you earned your grade, that course is 4 credits now. It's not 3 credits. So now you earned that grade, you move forward. We do whatever we have to do to make sure the student pass. What I mean by whatever we have to do is provide the resources for those students. That's why the writing lab is important. It's mandatory for the English process, the English course. For the math, we also have a math course that we created where we got rid of the developmental course. So when you think about it, if you had a student come to the institution and take a 6-hour developmental course, they are already behind. They're not going to graduate on time if they don't go to summer school, right? And so we have to have those type of conversations. So our faculty have done a great job over the past, I want to say it just happened well before COVID, to get rid of those courses and to create courses that have lab components so that our students can remain on track to finish in 4.
Thank you. Wow, time is getting away from us. These are some great questions. Let me go ahead and ask some of the questions also that we have in the Q&A. One was, from you all's expertise, what is the best way to get higher administration on board with these types of programs, funding and overall support?
I will start. Oh, go ahead, Doc.
I'm sorry. The data, everybody wants that data. And that's one of the ways that I know I will be able to convince upper leadership that we need to open this. Also, too, going back to incentivizing students the best way I can with what we have. I will continue to reach out for those funding opportunities, but it's the data, and the data show that Bridge students do better than their cohorts during that first semester. And they know this, and that's the reason why they look to our model in terms of, how we do it in the program that I have, because our Summer Bridge program falls under another unit of mine called the Academic Center for Educational Success, or ACES. And we're very intrusive, everything that a student needs to be successful, but it's going to be your data. You have to show them the data.
So I would second that, right? It's very important. The IRP would love us right now because we're talking what they love to talk about, the data. But I'll use a term that was taught to me at Alabama State University, ROI, the return of investment. That's important. So let's unpack that quickly because I know we're short on time. This is a business, and sometimes we forget that this is a business. But ultimately, what do people want? We want to recruit, admit, retain, graduate. Our bridge programs help us check those boxes, but let's talk about the boxes we're not checking. We're checking the boxes of the report that we discussed earlier in our conversation. We're checking the boxes of making sure that the best line of communication, publishing and marketing is word of mouth. We have a budget. Some of us have communication budgets. I know ASU is doing great with the communication team, but some of us got some budget just outrageous to recruit. But the return on investment is, if my homegirl goes to a school or my friend go to school, girl, hey man, you got to check this out. Or how we sit here in New Orleans, say, baby, you got to check this out, right? And so we need these programs to help us remain successful as we move forward, because all of us, we know that it costs much more to go and recruit a student than it does to retain a student. So if we continue with summer programs, I believe, as we're trying to do here at the institution, let's branch these programs out to different departments. Let these deans and chairpersons start writing some grants to help fund these programs, because it helped them, because recruiting is everybody's business, not just the Office of Admissions. And so I think we definitely need to have that. And I think that's how we get the board of trustees, the cabinet members, to support these programs, because we let them know we're giving you everything you want. And, we can actually enjoy that and establish a report. And I will stop right there because I don't have a collection plate.
I'm on mute. So I do have another question. Is there an opportunity to include reading and writing labs or assistance during the summer program?
Absolutely. It is required within our Ideal Summer Academy. Within our Center for Academic Excellence, we have a writing studio, we have a math lab, and it is required for our students, which is a part of their supplemental instruction, to attend those. I think I loved how, I want to say, Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Westry mentioned that it is incorporated and is required for the students that need to take English to already have that writing studio included in that. But it is required for our Ideal Summer Academy students to attend weekly, if not daily, for that program. Great question.
Mhm. Is anyone conducting an online bridge program?
So in 2020, 2021, we did with the Early Start Summer Program at Jarvis. I guess we had no choice. So we had about 46 students to enroll and 43 returned in the fall. So yes, if it's virtual, it can work.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a little difficult, but we made it work at Jarvis.
So here at Dillon University, we're having a conversation with our partners at Acadium to see how we can incorporate that. The challenge that we have with that, of course, with Acadium, if you are aware of Acadium, is other institutions that are involved. And so, it's still some conversation. I think there are some free courses that Acadium offers through the summer, and also UNCF also assists with offering some funding for courses through Acadium. So the conversation that we're having with our rep is Spears is to see how can we offer those enrichment courses free through Acadium online prior to the student entering into our Summer Bridge program, or after they have completed the Summer Bridge program in June, in the first week of July, to have that enrichment course that is ongoing to prep them or keep them engaged prior to coming back to the university in the fall for the fall semester.
Okay, I do have a pretty good one here that well, here's another one in chat. Do you provide a career journey assessment for summer program participants to ensure they are on the right academic path? If so, what assessment tool do you utilize? Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Funny that you would ask. That is part of our QEP for our first year experience. And it was one of the white papers that I wrote for that, because that is, I have a lot of research on retention factors as it is tied to major to career. So having said that, one of the workshops that we provide during the summer for our Summer Bridge program is about major to career and how to go about making those decisions. In the fall, in their orientation class that all incoming freshmen must take, they are required to do the focus to career assessment. Again, after having researched a lot of the different assessments, I find that the focus to career is the most comprehensive, because it does deal with different parts of an individual. It's very holistic. In other words, it's not just about, what do you like to do for a living? It's holistic. It just talks about personality, how do you like to spend your time? And it gives the student a broader profile of those majors. And the great thing about Focus to Career, if you're not using it, you can tie your institution's majors into the focus to career. So say, for instance, their assessment said, you may consider becoming a doctor, then it will tie it to ASU STEM program. And what we do with that information is, and this is all part of our QEP, our first year experience program course, is that information goes to the colleges, and the colleges are supposed to reach out to those students to give them more information. But that major to career, that's key to retention and graduation. And that's research-based.
Just to add quickly to that, here at the university, one of the things that I've implemented here as a registrar is, some people call it degree works. I call it degree audit through our student information system, Genzabar, and they have access to that on a cell phone the minute they take one course. So they know exactly where they are. We have our career service program, Ms. Dewana Tone, who is Tony, if she wants to pronounce Tone, she again, early we talked about that meeting new people and getting a chance to connect with individuals. She comes over the summertime because we don't have no vacation, and she speaks to them as well about how to incorporate their academic program to their career program, and how important internships is to their academic success and their career success.
I won't belabor that point, but I just want to say absolutely with Dr. Westry, as well as Mr. Mitchell, we do that. And then every weekend, we're visiting a different company, a different corporation, so those students can see it firsthand. When we talk about that mentorship component, when we talk about that internship, paid internships only for our students, and it can start as early as their freshman summer. They're going into their sophomore year as well. So we do all of that with that degree plan, assessment with the faculty, but making sure that those students understand early on what those career fields look like during the summer months.
And we do the same at Jarvis. We have different areas coming to our talks every Monday through Friday at 2:30 to 3:30. We have a different department in talking to our students, and career services is one of those departments. And they actually bring different companies and corporations out to talk to our students, and we help them with internships. Like Ms. Haynes said, paid internships. Yes, they need the money, right? So we do the same.
Thank you. I do have a question that was sent to me in advance, and that's, does anyone partner with a community college for remedial classes or courses? No?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Well, we got like 4 minutes, and I want to get this last question in because I think this is a really good one. So this question is, have you compared the academic performance data, we're looking at the fall, of those students who participated versus those who did not?
Absolutely. I did that with the cohort that we had, and can't remember exactly, but I know that they did better 1 point above GPA wise is what I'm talking about. They did better 1 point above the students that did not attend Bridge. But moving forward, we're going to capture that data a lot more, because what we capture now, I always capture that data, but I've never really publicized or talked about it. But what we also, of course, capture, going back to the earlier discussion about retention, and we do tend to retain. And again, it goes back to them being connected to the same group of people from the summer throughout their academic year. Because as we all know, familiarity for our students is key. If they know who to go to and they're familiar with you, then they tend to come in and ask those questions that they are afraid to ask from other areas. So absolutely, we compare that data.
So at Jarvis, there has been some comparison. So most of our ESSP students, because they've become acclimated to fall, there aren't as many distractors, and because they want to obtain a scholarship. So if at the end of the summer you have a 3.0 or better, you can receive a scholarship. So that's a goal that they're trying to reach. So yes, of course, their GPAs will be higher because they know each semester they can retain money.
At Houston-Tillotson, we've definitely compared that data, and our ideal students are definitely retained at a higher rate. Not just retained, but academically performing. It is a cohort-based model, so we're looking to incorporate some of those initiatives and strategies that we did early on during the summer, but also incorporate that for all of our first-time freshman students throughout the academic year. And so we're super excited, and we've made tweaks along the way, as always. So we're excited to launch our Ideal Summer program this summer and see how those new processes, those new strategies will help elevate overall student performance, but also retaining those students. Looking for 100% this year.
I'll just close off at Dillon University. We do follow the retention piece of it, but being that we decided to pivot what our Emerging Scholars program was doing previously before it's doing now, we won't have the graduation rate data for a couple of years. But I will say that we are monitoring that data. Dr. Teach, our person, is a stickler for that. He will give you a long paragraph for his response, but you just got to deal with it. Well, he's a good people.
Okay, I think I have time for one more question. I think a lot of people will want to know, how do you advertise? How are people made aware of your program?
If I can go first. So we do radio advertisements, college and career fairs. Simply word of mouth is done by faculty, staff, executive cabinet. All hands are on deck at Jarvis.
I would love to piggyback all means we're utilizing them. Radio, making sure that all community members on campus, as well as within the community partners, are aware. Of course, the hard copy brochures, we're dropping them off, we're putting them in the mail. But all of our first-time freshman students that are eligible for this program are informed continuously, again, with those virtual events that we hold every Thursday for anyone to join to learn more about the program. And something that we do at Houston Tillotson, we have counselors luncheon at the beginning of the year. So we inform all of the counselors about what HT is doing, what has been effective, what scholarships we have available, and then also churches. Our community partners in those churches are definitely a great support.
We here at the university, we partner with KIP, with our KIP schools here in the city of New Orleans. We also, our team, again, as I said before, recruiting is everyone's business. However, I have to give props to the dean of the University College, who does a phenomenal job of reaching out and working side by side with the Office of Admission, Recruitment Admission Program, and to get it right, the RAP crew, of getting that done. And so again, it's all hands on deck of making sure that we reach one, whatever opportunity we have. But we also do the luncheon, the council luncheon as well in the, I believe, the spring semester. We do some mimosas every once in a while to get them in here, but it works, and have a good time.
Okay, thank you guys so much. We are up at the hour. If you have any more questions, this was so great. Thank you so much to our panelists. I'm giving you a round of applause. It was wonderful. This webinar has been recorded. I will be sending it out to everyone. If you can, please do take advantage of the survey that is going to pop up as soon as this webinar ends. We really appreciate it. If you have more questions, like I say, you can contact me. You can contact your ISC. We'll be more than happy to address any concerns that you had. In the comments, we're saying outstanding, great job, everybody. So this was awesome. Thank you for your time and have a fantastic day.